Hey Fee! Hey Tracy! What should we do today? Let's watch this hit TV show with girls like you and me. It's it we really like, and best of all, it's free! Square eyes are watching Geek Girl TV! Square eyes are watching Geek Girl TV! Amstrad, Spectrum, New Hatfield, Winery, Apple, Mac, Geek Girl TV! Television for the computer savvy.
Hello and welcome back to Geek Girl TV. As usual, I'm your Geek Girl host, Eve Park, the girl who's feeling almost better this week, and I want to thank everyone who sent me get well messages. That's very sweet of you. Anyway, my theme song was created by The Days, which you can check out at myspace.com/TheDaysGirls. Anyway, this week we're going to talk about this summer's biggest blockbuster action films. And we're going to start off with Transformers. Yay! Now, I found the human versus robot conflicts really exhilarating. What I had most been looking forward to is seeing how today's special effects could illustrate two giant robots locked in head-to-head combat, brawling in the middle of modern city streets. And of course the robots do fight each other several times during the movie. I just didn't find it as heart-pounding as it seemed to be in the commercials. And I don't really know why. All the right elements seem to be there. The only thing I can deduce is that the director of the movie must have been less talented than the director of the commercials. Even though I enjoyed the movie very much, afterwards I felt as if they should have paid me to watch a 2-hour commercial for GM and Hasbro. Not that I blame them, I don't think you could expect anything else from a movie about Transformers. In fact, I don't think I can think of a movie concept more ripe for product placement. Although I do give them props for casually slipping in that giant My Little Pony doll. One thing I didn't understand about the movie, though, was why all the newly created Transformers seemed to be predispositioned to be ill-tempered. I don't think the movie was very deep. But in case I actually did miss that plot point, please email me at geekgirl@clevermedia.com and let me know what I missed. One thing about the movie that I really don't remember from the cartoon series is that the Transformers are perverts. That's right. I found it very disturbing that near the beginning of the movie, Bumblebee seemed to have a very vested interest in the young boy's love life. And then at the end of the movie, Optimus Prime had that weird speech about the robots just sort of sitting around, waiting, watching humanity. Meanwhile, the two human characters are making out on Bumblebee's hood, while the rest of the Transformers are in robot form standing around watching. Am I the only one who found that creepy? Don't get me wrong, it would be the coolest thing in the world to have an autonomously sentient robot as a car. But sometimes we humans need our privacy around any autonomously sentient being, whether organic or not. I'm sure it comes to no surprise that the Cartoon Network is rumored to launch a new cartoon series early next year. In fact, the only thing that is surprising is that it didn't launch simultaneously with the movie. Before I go on to talk about Die Hard, I just have to say that as a person with an overactive imagination, Transformers has changed my life forever. It's not uncommon that I'll be driving down the road and start to daydream that cars around me begin unfolding into robots and wreaking havoc. Or I might be waiting to cross the street and imagine that a passing semi unfolds into a giant robot, skids to a stop, buckling the pavement in front of him, and then an airplane out of nowhere swoops down and locks into combat with him. Surrounding cars are tossed into the air like toys in the fury of their combat. Next up, Die Hard. Amazing! When I first heard that there was going to be a Die Hard 4, I was pretty skeptical. I thought they would jump the shark for sure. I had seen Bruce Willis in Bruce Willis vs. Africa. In fact, it kind of made me think that maybe Bruce Willis was just too old to be an action star. And yet I had no trouble believing that John McClane single-handedly saved all of America, everything in it, and pretty much everything ever. Far more believable than Bruce Willis vs. Africa. I actually saw Die Hard before I saw Transformers, so it might have contributed to my high expectations for an action film. I thought it was just fantastic. First off, they give him these one-liners throughout the film that in any other circumstance, by any other actor, would be about the most cheeserific thing you can imagine, and yet he pulls it off. Every single one of them. Throughout the movie, the action just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And about halfway through, when they're like in the power plant, I was thinking to myself, God, there's a lot of this movie left. How can they possibly get any bigger? They just blew up a power plant. But then it's not long before it's Bruce Willis versus Jump Jet. In fact, several times throughout the movie, I thought to myself, oh my God, I think this is better than the original, which would make Die Hard 4 the best action movie ever. Now, I need to see the original again to be sure, but it's quite possible. For one, the 4th of July is a much better holiday to be fighting terrorists than Christmas. And secondly, no, I don't think it would have been any better even if he had been barefoot. I really enjoyed Kevin Smith's appearance, and I feel that the future of the franchise is secure now that Bruce Willis has a quirky little sidekick, which is the adorable Mac Boy. It was an excellent decision to make his little sidekick a sniveling little nerd. That way, John McClane didn't get overshadowed as an action hero by a younger star. However, the Mac Kid does step up in the end and make you proud. Since the movie is basically one large budget action sequence after another, by the end of the movie I found myself thinking, what finale could possibly do justice to this movie? They've done everything. John McClane is finally beaten down to where you don't think he can take it anymore. And I thought they were just going to cop out by letting quirky sidekick Short Round get him out of the jam. But no, he steps up and with his last shred of strength makes a final sacrifice and in a self-destructive gesture outsmarts and defeats the bad guy. And of course, John McClane lives to tell the tale because it wouldn't be any fun if he died. You heard it here. Live free or die hard. Quite possibly the world's most perfect action movie. So maybe you agree or maybe you disagree. Either way, let me know by sending an email to geekgirl@clevermedia.com. And now it's time for official Litor's business. This week we welcome a new Litor just in time to salute a new villain in the fight for truth, justice, and leetness. As for this week's superhero, Seba writes, if I was a superhero, I would be Geek Man. Obviously not Creative Man. My power will be to read other people's minds and have a super rubber underpants so when other people try to give me a wedgie, I won't feel it. Welcome, Geek Man, and very clever about the anti-wedgie underpants. But you're going to have a difficult time with this week's villain because he delivers more than just wedgies. Tony writes, if I were a supervillain, my name would be IOEM, or I own an E-machine. My secret identity would be Packard Bell, and my powers would be the ability to infuriate and frustrate people with faulty technology until they rammed their heads into the wall enough times to render them unconscious. If you can't tell, I do phone support. IOEM man is against all decency. Quickly, you must send me an email. Together we can strategize how to stop this fiend. Whoops, that's all I have time for this week. Until next time, Excelsior!